This one kind of feels more deserved. It's just as unfortunate, for a baseball lifer and topper, Robbie Thompson. But the Philadelphia Phillies have finally fired him, off to an absolutely brutal start. The Philadelphia Phillies, they are basically dead last in baseball in just about everything. I mean, the record, them and the Mets, 9-19. They're in the bottom three in baseball in runs per game. They're in the bottom three in baseball in pitching and ERA. Most of their stars have struggled to hit. They were 8-8 and then a 10-game losing streak. Not enough, but winning 1 out of 3 to the Atlanta Braves over the weekend, not enough. They've got a day off. They're about to start a homestand tonight against the San Francisco Giants. And Donnie Baseball is back, Brad. Don Mattingly, who was the bench coach, a job he just took in January, he's now the interim manager. In case you're wondering, and we'll get into this, they already tried to offer the job to Alex Cora. He said, no, I'm not jumping right into another job. I need time to spend with my family. Mattingly's son, Preston, is the Phillies GM. We know Dave Dombrowski is the one running the show. But how about Preston Mattingly calls up Pops? He goes, hey, Pops, what do you think? You want to take over as interim skipper here? You switch from the bench to being the manager here. So Donnie Baseball's back. Phillies have fired their manager. 2 managers can before May 1st, Brad. Baseball is, we thought that this season might be a little crazy leading into a potential lockout. We got 2 managers can before May 1st, and the Phillies, not a big surprise here, getting rid of Robbie Thompson.
No stunner at all, any way, shape, or form. The fact that Mendoza, the skipper for the New York Mets, is still gainfully employed, and we find that near to impossible given their craptastic ways right now. But Philadelphia tied with the New York Mets in the basement of the NL East at 9-19, both trailing Atlanta by 10.5 games already, which is utterly insane when you think about it. And a team that, the Philadelphia Phillies, a major letdown. They have one of the most potent offenses on paper, but you look here the last couple of weeks, this is a team that is dead last in Major League Baseball in WRC+. Yes, with Bryce Harper. Yes, with Kyle Schwarber. Yes, with Trey Turner. It's dumbfounding. It really is. And on top of that, to make it equally worse, they are dead last the last 2 weeks in team ERA at 6.21. And they have a few notable starters on that roster. They're just getting absolutely pounded and roundhoused on a nightly basis. The bullpen has been lackluster, to say the least. The change was overdue, and it was needed. And obviously, you got Donnie Baseball back in a managerial role. He needs to regrow the cookie duster, though. He had one of the most spectacular mustaches in MLB history. And true story, Pat, as a youth growing up in San Antonio, Texas, hey, y'all, I had an extensive Donnie baseball card collection. I was obsessed with everything Don Mattingly. Yes, even as a Cubs fan in my youth, for whatever reason, I just gravitated toward the lip caterpillar that he bestowed on his beautiful face and the sweet swing that he had, all the grand slams that he hit. A guy that was just, putting up some stupid numbers for your New York Yankees. So he's going to get another, lease on life as a manager. We'll see if they can right the ship, and they should be able to, man. I mean, this team has got oodles of talent, guys that have been in the series, guys that have won the whole shebang. They cannot be this bad for the rest of the MLB season. I think this team is going to finish above 500, and I think Don Mattingly will get them back on track. But we shall see, but definitely a move that had to be made today.
Yeah, 310-840-4910, the phone number to join the show. Do you agree that the Phillies should have fired Rob Thomson? And what do you think of Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly, now taking over as the interim manager? You think they're going to finish? You think they're going to make the playoffs here, Brad? You think they can rebound from this brutal start where, let's look at their lineup here. Kyle Schwarber's got 9 home runs, and his OPS is like league average. He's hitting 196. He strikes out every 2 at-bats, basically, which is nothing new for Kyle Schwarber. Bryce Harper is putting up league average numbers. That's unacceptable for Bryce Harper, and he was largely mediocre for all of last season. Adolis Garcia, who they brought here, he stunk. Trey Turner, he stunk. No amount of standing ovations in the world can save this guy, it looks like, this season. Alec Boehm is brutal. Alec Boehm has been absolutely terrible. And we detailed his personal issues that he's got going on, basically suing his parents because they're stealing money from him. But like all the guys, this core has been together for 4 or 5 years. They've won 90 plus games. How many seasons in a row? And they fail in the postseason. Robbie Thomson took over for Joe Girardi when the Phillies basically did exactly what they're doing now 4 years ago. And Rob Thomson, who's like not like a big rah-rah guy, just a baseball lifer, whatever he was telling the team, whatever Joe Girardi wasn't telling the team, and Girardi's a fiery guy, sometimes like change just for the sake of change ain't gonna work. But it worked for the Phillies 4 years ago. Brad, I don't think it's working this time. I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs. And I think finishing above 500 is going to be a challenge at this point because sometimes there's just an expiration date on things, right? For coaches and for managers, sure. And I'm not saying if they kept Rob Thomson that they would have turned it around. I don't think there's anything this Phillies team could have done to turn this season around. And I don't want to hear anymore, right? Whenever we overreact about baseball in the month of April, I don't want to hear people say, oh, you can't overreact about baseball in April. It's early. Is it? Because we've got 2 guys fired and there probably should be 3. So I think we can throw that whole, oh, it's early, you can't overreact yet, out the window.
Well, the one thing I will say, and maybe you're right about the expiration date, but I don't think these guys are like a tub of cottage cheese, right? We're only 28 games into the Major League Baseball season, so I will be that guy and say, let it simmer. Let this thing kind of play out through the month of May, and then we can make hard and fast opinions about where this team is going to wind up. They are minus 54 right now in run differential. How bad is that? Well, by comparison, the second worst team in run differential right now are the New York Mets. They have the same record as the Philadelphia Phillies at 9-19, but the Mets are minus 30. So you got a minus 24 difference in run differential between Philadelphia, dead last that category in all of Major League Baseball, and their compadres there in the NL East and the New York Mets, second to dead last in run differential, which is just astonishing. When you wrap your head around it. Look, I'm not throwing them out in the trash bin quite yet. I'm going to see this sucker play out. Maybe Mattingly's going to be able to light a fire under these guys. He's got a group of proven veterans. They are playing their worst brand of collective baseball imaginable. They only have one direction to go, and that one direction is up. I think they're going to save some face. I think they have a good shot and get it back to 500. I think they barely finish over 500, and they will be there in the wild card conversation. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but they'll be in the conversation by the time September rolls around.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to play out here over the next couple of weeks here. I disagree heavily. I think this team could actually bottom out. I think this could get real bad. Like, I'm talking like 75 wins bad. Like, not even sniffing 500. I guess within 6 games of 500 might be sniffing it, but I don't think they're going to become close to a playoff team. I don't know if they ever pull themselves out of this funk here. And no disrespect to Donnie Baseball. He's a legend. He's one of the best to ever play the game. But maybe that's a bit of a stretch. But he is an iconic figure in the sport of baseball. You can't write the history of baseball without Don Mattingly. 6-time All-Star, MVP in 85, 9-time Gold Glover, Manager of the Year in 2020 with the Marlins. And everybody said Donnie Baseball is done. His number 23 is in Monument Park in Yankee Stadium. What has he done as a manager lately here, Brad? What has he done?
Yeah,
and again, 2020, COVID year, say what you want. You want to say it was shortened year, doesn't count. I don't say that about any of the seasons that we had in any sports. Yeah, he got the Marlins to the playoffs, and he was Manager of the Year. Outside of that, he was just Donnie Baseball. He was just an iconic figure that sat in the dugout with the, like you said, with the cookie duster, with the mustache, looked great. Yeah, he looked great. What did he do in terms of winning baseball? Like, first couple of years with Miami were okay. They were sniffing around 500. Then they bottomed out. Then the COVID year they got back, and they had some high expectations. They didn't win 70 games then the next 2 years, and then he was gone. And look, he was on the bench for these first couple of months here. It's not like Don Mattingly's like swooshing in out of the next universe. It's like, hey, I'm Donnie Baseball. You guys ready to win some games? Like, he's been there. So what is he? And he's never been a fiery guy. What is he going to tell this team? A bunch of mentally weak losers at this point. That's what this Phillies core has become. A bunch of mentally weak losers. What is Don Mattingly going to say to them that's going to fire them up? These guys are getting paid millions of dollars. Did they really ever need this spark? And how can a spark die so quickly with Rob Thomson over the last, I don't know, just couple of months here? I mean, we see the writing on the wall every time they get to October. They're a disaster waiting to happen in the postseason. Red October, yeah, because it's their bloodshed that's been being spilled as they've regressed World Series, NLCS, wild card round, the last 4 years here. So, like, what is Don Mattingly going to do to spark this team? You might say, Brad, and you've said this, so again, you could be right and I could be dead wrong and look like a fool here in 3 months. But it's like, these guys, sooner or later, you think they're going to be back to hitting the back of their baseball cards and pitching to the back of their baseball cards, but we're more than a fifth, or we're a fifth of the way into the season. They've been one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in baseball. I don't think the turnaround's coming.
Look, I understand the back of the baseball card has got a disgusting gum stain on it, so it is not a Gem Mint 10 by any stretch of the imagination. But again, these veterans got to show some savvy. They got to show some fight. They're just not done. I don't think they're, completely spoiled. They have been involved in slump situations before in their storied careers, and they'll be able to turn things around. So I say, never give up hope if you're there in Philadelphia. And you are, Pat, right now in the great city of brotherly love. I know you're not a Philadelphia Phillies fanatic by any way, shape, or form, as a hardcore New York Yankees guy that you are. But there is no reason to say this team is completely done. Let's go ahead and slide them into the Delaware River and let them sink to the bottom. They're going to be A-OK, folks. Give it time. Let it simmer. Philadelphia is going to come storming back, and it's going to be fun at Citizens Bank come midsummer.
Well, we haven't disagreed so heavily on something like this in a while, so I am very excited to see how this plays out here over the next... Look, I'll give you a caveat. I think the only thing that can save the Phillies is if in 2 weeks from now, maybe a month, Alex Cora wakes up and says, okay, I feel good. I don't want to take the rest of the year off. This is a team that maybe I can pull them up from their bootstraps. Maybe the way that I manage, if I'm given some freedom to manage, not like so many of these baseball managers nowadays where it's these Ivy League nerds in the front office just telling them, hey, make this lineup. Here's this pitching matchup that we like. Oh, because the advanced analytics say this. Yeah, how's that worked out so far? How's that worked out so far for some of these teams? So maybe if Alex Cora in another couple of weeks says, all right, I have my siesta, I spent time with my family, I'm ready to get back on the road here and grind it out for the next couple of months, let's just see what happens. Maybe that's the only chance the Phillies have of pulling this thing out here. Otherwise, with Don Mattingly as their interim manager, I just don't think this thing is going anywhere. I really don't here, Brad. I think Cora is maybe the only guy that can save him, and he's already told him no once.
And again, I love the fact that you and I are agreeing to disagree here. Somebody will be incredibly right, and somebody is going to be horrifically wrong. And more than likely, it's going to be me. Can we get odds on that right now at BetMGM, by the way? Who is going to win this debate come year's end? Is it going to be Pat, who says, they may be within sniffing distance of 500, but they fall well short of it. You said roughly 6-7 games below 500. I say they get to 500 and finish just above that mark and are in the conversation. Not saying they're going to make it, but they're in the conversation to make the MLB postseason.